Hello and welcome to Game Club.
We did it.
Game Club.
No.
The
Game Book
patch
Club.
Game Book Club.
Now brought to you by squishy seats and bad posture.
Oh yeah. Why not?
Fun posture. All depends how you sit in it. It's got to engage your
like
core.
Bernie's all like set up. He's like, yeah, we're all just like this.
Okay, but Burnie was also gonna
so-
surf the whole show.
I was gonna go over like forwards and like lay over the top
Like
of it,
this.
but I decided not to.
Oh guys, hello.
We'll make it a whole exercise challenge. You
Yeah.
gotta keep working your core the whole time, like feet off
Side
the
to
ground.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Get
not
your
how
lats. Let's see if this. Yeah, hold on. This will last about 12 seconds.
Do
Hey,
you call these things beanbags? Is that what you call them still?
There's
No, there's no
beans
beans
in
in
them,
them.
Well, so what is it? Just bag?
fluff bag.
It's
Sit
memory
bag.
foam.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's memory foam.
Oh, is it
Foam
really?
bag.
Sit bag. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like lots of little pieces of memory foam.
Yeah.
I hope the guy who invented memory
Giant
foam
butt
got
cushion.
paid a lot of
I
money.
know.
Because it just showed up one day and now it's in everything.
The astronauts use it.
Yeah.
Well, it's because you use it and you're like, it's memory foam, and you're like, oh.
Oh.
That
not
means
just
it's
foam.
expensive.
But remember when just old people used it? Like when your grandparents had memory foam pillows, and you're like, oh, grandma's pillow's weird.
Yeah,
but now everybody
Because they can
has it.
afford it. Because the pillows were like $300.
That's true.
And now it's like everything else. When technology comes out, it just drops in price.
Speaking of
So
technology,
should we talk about games?
Video
at some point?
games!
Game
Limbo was a
Club.
free game, as a matter of fact.
No, it
was
wasn't free.
Not
was.
on the Xbox One, but at one point it was a Games for
It
Gold
was.
game.
Yes.
So.
Limbo.
And it's out on pretty much everything. It's out for Xbox 360, Xbox One, PC, PlayStation,
Out for iPhone.
out for iPhone.
Yeah, Cole
Really?
played
That
it on his
seems-
iPhone.
That seems like the worst game to
he
play
said
on
it. Some things were
touchscreen.
easier. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, which I thought was really interesting.
All you do is jump, really, and then
Yeah, but it's
directionals.
so unforgiving.
It is so
It's pretty.
unforgiving.
There's a
some
couple
parts.
places like the buzzsaws where you gotta
Yeah.
be really
Yep.
precise. But overall, not really. There's an achievement. I was trying to get it last night. There's an achievement to go through the whole game and only die 5 times.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I have it on the 360,
Oh, do you?
but I tried to do it last night just from memory. And there's like you get to a point you're like, oh, what do I do here?
I know. Well, what I should have done was I played through again and was trying to keep that in mind. Like, okay, remember that this puzzle you have to do this and that thing.
Yeah.
You should immediately play it again. Like once you go through it, see
Like
all the puzzles,
We
and then
talked about it,
immediately
yeah.
play it again because I played it and I beat it, and then Gavin played it and he's almost done, and I still like he's doing puzzles and I'm like I sort of remember. Like I've already
Yeah.
started to forget.
Yeah, a couple of them are pretty tricky. You were going for the 5 death thing, right? Did you get that?
Yes. No.
Not yet.
I did go for it. No, I made a couple attempts, and I really thought that having played it a lot with Eli that it would carry me through until I realized that Eli gets bored about
Wait.
45% through the game.
You play this
Right.
game with a little kid?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah, he lets his son
Are you
play because
crazy?
it's not.
It's very
You don't
fairy
see
tale.
anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's all
Really?
silhouette.
It is really brutal.
It is, but
though.
it's
It's
Remember-
super brutal, but he doesn't understand that.
Remember at
That's
one
true.
point
He has no
I was
context.
playing and I died and my eyes popped out. And
I've
then like
never
there was
seen
just
that
like
happen.
That
and there was
was
just like a
weird.
little
What?
white because you know all you can see is his eyes,
Yeah.
right? It's a little silhouette and then his eyes. And at one point I got squashed, like it was some brutal thing. And then
She
like my
landed on a
eyeballs went
buzzsaw.
bouncing.
Ooh.
Oh,
So, and her body
wow.
went like this way in a bunch of pieces with some splatter, and then the 2 little glowing eyeballs landed on top of the box by themselves.
Wow.
That was very bizarre. I've never
Never
seen that
saw
before.
that.
I had one of the deaths where it was at the beginning. I couldn't sleep one night, so I was like, I'll play Limbo. And so it was like 6 in the morning, and I'm playing Limbo. And it got to the spider with the bear trap. And so I got the first leg,
Yeah.
and I was like, aha. And I pulled the bear trap back. And then I got the second leg, and I was like, no need to pull the bear trap back because I'll just immediately get under the third leg. But the third leg kicks out automatically, and it like got me in the throat. And I was so startled because I didn't see it coming. I was like, and I dropped the controller, and like Penny got up and got all upset. And like it was very jarring for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a couple of shock deaths, and I'm a screecher.
Yeah.
It's just I just yelp about it.
We actually streamed it on the Rooster Teeth Twitch channel when we were playing, and I'm also just like when I only have 5 deaths. Every time I mess up, it's so stupid. And I'm just like, son of a! And I realize
Yeah.
I'm yelling in 2,000 people's ears. When did the game come out? I'm about to look up. When was the release date?
Oh,
of
it's
Limbo?
been a while ago. I would peg it at maybe like 2010 or 11.
Yeah, I think so
Let's find
too.
out
I mean, we talked about it in some of the original patch broadcasts that we did, and it had already been out. I think we even gave it. It was
Oh.
up for downloadable game of the year at one point.
Sorry, I just went to the part of the afterlife thing. Hold on, Limbo video
It was
game. There we go.
released in
2010.
July. Yeah,
nice
2010.
Guess.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah.
We're on 5 years at this point.
Yeah, which is but it just came out for Xbox One. I also feel like it's one of those games that. I mean, there's not a lot to the
No.
graphics. Like, they're beautifully, beautifully done. But it's not like, oh, man, look at those low polygon models. This is the kind of game that ages really, really well.
Absolutely.
Everybody played it before?
Yeah, I think we'd
Okay.
all played it before.
Yeah.
What does it like rate for you? Is it a game you remember?
Absolutely.
Last generation?
Well, I played it.
Absolutely.
I got it when it was free originally on Xbox One, so
Yeah.
that was when I picked it up. And I thought it was very.
It was free on
it's
Xbox
very-
One at one
yeah,
point, right?
mhm.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, it was one of the games for gold. The art to that game is just so, and when it's an odd thing to say when it's all shadow and silhouette, but the background renderings and just the layout of things tells its own story in such an interesting way. It's really compelling. It's a really fun art game to play if you're just looking for an experience.
And it's really not enough to describe it as black and white, right? It's like more
No.
like a charcoal painting.
yeah, there's shades of gray. There's
Yeah.
gradients.
It's
There's
a
that
great,
weird
definitely
like
grayscale.
grain on it too.
Yeah.
It has
Yeah.
like that like film grain on it, sort of.
They do a couple cool things too, like when the player goes in shadow and all you can see is his eyes, and it's like everything is black, and you're navigating him through an area, like just by his eyes, and being like, well, I hope there's no bear traps in this spot.
Yeah,
'Cause
exactly.
you can't see anything.
There's an egg where you have to go through. It's like Alone in the Dark, and you have to go through like a whole thing
Yeah.
by
Yeah.
yourself. And it's just your eyes for like 30
you-
seconds.
Did any of you do the secret level?
No, I
You
did not.
must have if
I
you
did
got
not
a-
do the secret level.
No? Okay.
No.
No.
So it's in, I believe, chapter 26.
That's new
There's
to the
an
new,
achievement
to
for
the
it.
Xbox One.
Is it? Okay, yeah, I
don't
think
believe
so.
that was on the 360.
I think it was, yeah, it was first introduced on PS3 and Steam, and then it's
Okay.
on One, but may not be on 360. But in chapter 26, there's an area you can drop down to that is pretty much an entirely dark level. Mainly it's driven by sound. So you'll get like a little bit of light that'll set up a puzzle, like, oh, there's a saw going back and forth here. And you have to learn the timing of it from the sound.
Okay.
You jump over it, and then you'll have to do that 2 more times, completely in darkness,
Ah.
just by listening
Just
to what's
seeing
going
your
on.
eyes.
You know
That's
what? You must have done that not this time maybe, but last time, because it looks like there is an achievement for it
Ding.
called Ding.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's an Xbox One achievement. I might not
Oh,
have.
it's just Xbox
I
One.
might not have that one.
Yeah.
I don't know if we can look it up and see if it's on the 360 version. Before, what I remember about Limbo is the trophies and achievements in the game are all just the eggs.
Yeah, just you have to stomp on an egg.
There's no progression achievements, as far as I know. You go all the way through to the end and get nothing.
Yeah, I don't think I'm trying to think if
don't
I got
remember.
any like because I just went through it on Xbox One. Yeah, I don't know. I think all of them were eggs I stumped.
Yeah,
on.
you'll have to get the eggs and then
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
it says that it's also on PS3 and PC, so it's not.
Yeah, that's what you're
not
saying on
just-
Steam
That's,
as
yeah,
well.
he
That's
was
when they
that's when
introduced
they
it.
introduced it. Yeah, but not
Gotcha.
on 360.
Gotcha. Okay.
Except for the one achievement, which is to like now they have Ding, but then at the end of the Ding achievement, is it getting an egg on that too?
I think there's an egg in a similar area that's an all dark area. But I didn't when I went back to try and do the 5 death, that I noticed that I also didn't have that secret achievement. So I went and got it. And I feel like I'd already been in a similar area, but
There is an
the
egg that you
catch
have to go down
that
that
achievement-
same area. Yeah.
The catch to that achievement is that area doesn't unlock until you have all the other eggs.
Oh, okay.
So you can't. You stop earlier when you get the secret egg, and then once you have all of them, you can go further into that
Oh,
area.
I was
see.
looking at because now I'm going back to try and 100% it. So like I was going back and getting eggs that I missed just in my like leisurely playthrough, and there was something that was like if you have all the other ones, and I just stopped reading because I wasn't there yet. But that's what it was.
That's it. Ding.
And
And
it's one of those few games too where I feel like I've replayed it now probably a dozen times and it doesn't bother me at all. I mean, there's definitely parts of the game. It takes about 40 minutes to do a full run, and there's definitely parts where it's dragging. Like I don't know what it is. Like some moments, like when I'm on the boat and he's just floating along in the boat. For some reason, that's a pain in my butt. Or when I get like
that's one of the few times that you have to like wait for an extended period of time.
right
Or like when you're on the ladder and the pipe has to come up from the water.
when you're waiting on anything, it just does like
But
or
it's
dragging
hilarious.
something
Yeah.
a long distance.
See, I
That's what was
find
thinking,
any
too.
of the parts where I'm waiting, I find super stressful.
Oh, I know. Because
Really?
you
Why?
always
For the
like
water to come up or anything like that, I'm like, am I doing this right?
Right,
Am I,
am I-
like am I supposed to be waiting around for this thing because it's coming at me? Am I doing this okay?
I feel that about
find
the timing stuff.
Yeah.
Like when you have to open like the one box and then put the other box on
Yeah.
top of it. That's like I'm convinced I'm gonna get that wrong every time.
The first time I played that game, I must have died on that thing, like just that one little spot 20 times.
I did like 5 times last night.
Yeah, I did.
On
Way
Twitch,
to
we
call her
had,
out.
we had people counting. No, I'm just,
Oh.
I lost all 5 of my lives way before that. So
And
I was
that's
like,
when you
then
turned
we
the
started
controller
trading
over to me, and then I was like, let's make it 20.
They say if you haven't killed the spider yet and you die, just pack it in.
Oh,
Just start over.
interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
We started over. I had 3 deaths, and I was like, I forget where we were, but it's like with the trees and the thing swings by. I don't remember the order of that exactly. I was like, I'm starting over, and the
Yeah.
audience was like, Yeah, start over.
Just go ahead, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think that you've killed the spider at that point. You've interacted with it the first time where you cut off some of its legs, but it's not dead at that
You
point.
haven't pulled its last
With
leg
the,
off
like,
and used its body
pretty
to get
horrible.
it. It's
With the boulder,
horrible.
right?
Here's what's detrimental to a 5-death run
Yeah.
when you're playing that game. Twitch chat window right next
Oh,
to
I'm
it.
sure.
It's just like, you're like, oh, what's that? And then a spider just jams its limb through
Oh,
your head.
absolutely. Gavin's never played it, so he just started 2 days ago. And watching him, because he knows I've played it and I know all the answers to the puzzles, he's always like, can I touch that? Okay. And I'm like, you're trying so hard to like not seem dumb to me. Just do the puzzle. And he'll like, but some puzzles that I really struggled with, he sails right through. And then some that I'm like, how are you not getting this?
Right.
He's like doing this and going over here. And it took forever for him to rip that spider's leg off. He was like jumping on the spider. And then he was on the spider's body and jumping on it, trying to push it.
And you get, when you play through, you get unlimited deaths, so you just go again and again and again. And you can actually, with all the cool moments that they've built in the game, and it's a great progression, too, because you start off with really, really easy stuff, and then there's no dialogue in the game.
There's no tutorial.
There's limited sound. There's like this hollow sound throughout the
not
whole
really
thing.
music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I like
There
it,
is
but
at
I
a
kinda
couple
like that there's
moments
not-
their music.
Yeah,
Right.
but it's really like
Very
nothing.
poignant moments.
It's like a triumphant moments, too,
Yeah.
sometimes, like when you do the things to crush the dudes that are chasing you.
Yeah,
It's
but
like,
it's really
whoa.
noticeable because the rest of the time it's just nothing.
It's almost eerie
super-
because it kicks in. You're like, that in games you get so used to this idea that when music starts, that means something.
Right, like
Right.
boss fight coming.
Right, and this one more so than any because you haven't heard any.
Right.
And then you get to a point where all of a sudden something starts playing. It just makes it so kind of creepy. Like I don't know what's gonna come. I've been through all these fights. I've been murdered by buzzsaws and nothing played. And now all of a
Right.
sudden, slow, creepy music is coming for you.
Something is coming. There's spiders. I like how much it makes you do close calls. Like you can't complete the puzzle
No,
without
yeah.
being so close to the spider that crawls over you, and like I love stuff like that.
Is it having played it much time? Is there an aggravating part of the game that bugs you guys when you get to it? You're like, I'm gonna mess this up.
The buzzsaws. The buzzsaws with the 2-box stack.
Yep.
That was by far the hardest part for me.
For me, it's the earth turning because
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like if you miss this jump, like you're dead.
You got
That's it.
one shot,
You got
and it's in a
one
little
shot
window.
of that.
I had one way earlier that bugged the crap out of me, and it's when you're wrapped in silk.
Oh, that's exactly
Yeah.
mine.
Wait,
and
is
you
it
get to
the
that
little
first gap.
Oh my
Because
gosh.
it's so hard to time it.
Yeah.
Gavin got that gap the first time, and I was like, what? I like left the couch. I was so pissed off. It took me like 10 deaths to get that stupid gap.
And you have to like do like a little hop or something.
Uh-huh.
You're like,
Yeah, you
okay,
do
I
a
think
little
I've got
hop
it,
to
and then
offset
you mess it
yourself.
up and everything. Yeah, I always get so nervous at that part, and it's so early in the game.
Apparently, Cole said on iPhone that part was way easier.
What?
Yeah,
Why?
than it was on with the controller.
That doesn't make
Really?
any sense.
Yeah, I don't know, but that one particular gap, literally, Gavin got it first
Yeah.
try, and I was so mad.
When I think about aggravating parts of that game, that's the first thing that I think about is that little gap.
Yeah, I don't recall that being a thing. So
Well, if you
sailed
nail
right
it the
over
first
it.
try, you don't
Yeah,
even think
you don't
about
even think about it 'cause
Yeah.
it's just
Yeah.
a little gap.
It's definitely one of those things. Like it happens to a lot of platformers. They like build in your ability to overthink it.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That is totally a moment where you're like, I'm overthinking this. I know I am, and then you get nervous and you like totally screw up the jump and
I
lose
call
one
it
of your
panic thumb.
Oh.
We were discussing this actually on the Twitch stream last night. Like panic thumb is a thing. It's where your head knows exactly what you need to know. You need to go from here. You need to get right to the edge. You need to hit this button, jump across this, and it's all going to be fine. And then your thumb goes, oh shit!
No, I'm screwing it up.
And the meantime, you're like, what are you doing, thumb?
It's not one of
No,
those kind of
stop it.
platformers too. We have to like land on something tiny. I mean, there's a couple things where you have to jump on stumps, but it's not really hard. I hate those ones on platforms where you jump on something, you get on it, and then you fall off of it because you like
you're,
can't
like,
hold still.
you're
You
trying
can't
to-
hold still. Yeah,
You're
and
already
like-
trying to adjust. I had that in this indie game called Pixel, and it's about a cat. You have to jump on the box. It's at the very beginning of the game, and I remember like, I'm going on this side, I'm going on this side. I hit it, oh, I fell off. But I was like so pissed off about this one stupid block that I couldn't get on.
Other puzzle games too. It's like when you've completed the puzzle game and you figured everything out. It's the kind of game, and Limbo's like that. It's a puzzle platformer, and it's a great one. Portal to me is the worst for that. Like Portal 2, when you're watching someone try to go through the levels and figure out how to get something, you're like, it's right there. It's
No,
right there.
I'm having that with Limbo. I'll just like,
Yeah.
oh, the hardest thing for me to keep my mouth shut is Gavin just did the part where he's going up the ladders, but he has the headworm, and then he like finally figured, oh, here comes the pipe. Okay. Oh, but then he jumped on the pipe too early and walked into the spikes, and I'm like, no, you have to start all over.
Yeah, that's
And
the
there's
tough part.
so much waiting on that one.
Those head slugs are the worst.
so annoying.
I will say, generally, though, checkpointing in that game works really
Yeah,
well.
really
You
well.
don't ever have to go back too far. And usually, it's like the beginning of a puzzle.
Man, when you go to the
Exactly.
chapters too, there's like 30
Yeah.
chapters. So you can go back and practice like, oh, what was that one part I really liked? And then you can go like thumbnail through all the chapters and go, oh, that's exactly what I want to play. I'll play that part.
Right, like last night, you were spamming one particular chapter. It was one of those gravity puzzles. Like you have to like swap this, but you have to like
It's the last
jump up
jump.
and then down.
Oh
The
my god,
very,
that took
very,
me
very last
forever
one.
to figure out. Like, oh, I gotta go past it and then have it come down. Because I was like, I get it. I have to hit it on my way. Oh, I get into the spikes. What the
Yep.
fuck? Like, I was so pissed.
The timing of it is like, and it's after a while of playing, like I don't know why I didn't notice it right away. There's sound cues as like the ticking down of when things are happening, and like even on the electricity on the hotel signs.
Yeah, we found we noticed at the very end of the game that there's a meter
On the magnets.
on the magnets.
Yeah.
That's
There's
how
a
you know
progress
how
bar.
long it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah, it'll count
It
down.
comes right down.
Yeah.
Same with like the ticking.
go.
The ticking tells you the change, but for me, like I was like, great, I'm gonna jump right before the change, so I hit the sign right
Yep.
at the change. But that's not. You have to go past the change
Yeah.
and back down.
Yeah, because otherwise you don't make it.
So
Yeah, it
just,
doesn't give
you
enough
just
momentum.
practice that timing just by playing that chapter over and over again, and then you get muscle memory. So then when you can just get to it, you're like, oh, I
Because
just
with
know
the 5
exactly.
death run, if you fuck that up, you're dead.
Then
Like,
that's
you
the last
screw
thing
it
in the
up.
game.
Yeah, exactly.
You could easily burn like 20 lives trying to get that
Yeah.
timing right. Yeah.
Okay, so here's a question. You get to the end, you break through the glass or whatever. Is that your girlfriend or your sister?
What is the relationship with the
What's the
person you're going
relationship?
after?
I don't know.
You know, the main character
It's
always
a
looks
girl.
so young to me.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have.
There's
I wouldn't
no
have thought
dialogue in this
girlfriend.
game for
Yeah,
people who
there's,
haven't
there's
played it.
no indication.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't know, but I wouldn't have thought. I didn't immediately think sister either because she's like sort of same age. Maybe you can have a crush when you're that young, yeah? Because they're like boys playing with their blow
Right,
darts
like
and stuff
first
like
love
that.
sort of thing.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Yeah, I totally thought sister, but it's based on the age that I perceived this kid to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason, it always stuck. It almost struck me more as a mother. I don't know why.
Really?
She's so
Yeah.
little.
I know
I
it's
mean,
the.
she's playing with toys or something, right?
She's she's sitting there on the ground, kind of
Mom's
playing
playing
with
with toys.
things. Well, I thought she was like picking flowers or something.
It's
they're gonna have a
also
picnic
Limbo
or
to
something.
me.
Wrong.
The whole game is about mood, you know, and that setting that they place it in. The ending of Limbo is probably right on par with me for like Last of Us for best ending in a game. Like just like they hit that perfect note.
The
at the end.
catharsis of it.
Yeah, it really is. And it's like even without fully really understanding the story because it's not overtly stated, they do such a great job with no writing, with no dialogue, nothing they can communicate with like exposition to the audience of like setting up this world to where I actually feel bad for the people with the blowguns that they're like kind of trapped in this place and they're trying to survive with like their
yeah.
fake spider.
And they like they can't get over the gap and they like fall into the spikes and you're
Yeah.
like, oh.
yeah, just I get like a kind of a I feel tense when I see them. Like these are people who are just trying to survive in any way
Yeah.
they can.
That's some like Lord of the Flies
It
stuff.
very-
I see them and I'm like, you little shit. What are you doing?
Yeah.
Like
I always
it
thought
made
of
me
them-
so
Get
mad
away
that
from
they were
me.
there, and it's like I'm just trying to go save my sister, whatever. Like, what do you do? Like, why are you trying to kill me? They were actively trying to kill you.
Oh, absolutely.
Why?
Well, maybe
but
they're
only
trying to
when
defend
you
their
approach
territory.
them. Yeah. They don't
Yeah.
come after you.
Well, they
it's
do
only
chase
when
you,
but only when you
That's
invade
true.
their territory.
I always thought of them as the Lost Boys. I don't know why.
Yeah, it seemed very Lost Boys or maybe like a Maze Runner kind of thing or something like that. Like
Also,
some sort of
I
group.
wonder too. It's like they set up the glowworm and then their natural predator, which takes it away from you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like those things are like, how do those things ever eat? Like, do the glowworms like get to the point where they walk around or fly?
There must be that many boys with
Look, it's a
glowworm
I know,
high
right?
traffic area for lost souls.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, Gavin asked me, and I didn't even think about it. He's like, "Why does the glowworm want to die? It dies when it goes in the water too, because it like makes you want to go into the water and kill yourself." And I'm like, "Well, parasites do that." And he's like, "Yeah, but it dies too. Like I don't get it." And I was like, "Oh, I guess that's I don't really
You don't
think
know
about
that. Could like maybe like
Well,
water
they're all
is the next
floating
stage.
in there, and like
It's so
Yeah.
great. Like that's a great way they set up something. Like you haven't seen the glowworms at all, or you like stepped on a couple on the ground, and then you get to that little pit with water, and you watch the guy like can't stop. He just walks into the water because he has a glowworm.
and it's like,
in his head.
"Wah," that's when the
Yeah.
music is like, "Oh no."
Maybe the glowworm isn't its own creature. Maybe it's like an element of something bigger that wants the dead bodies to eat.
Yeah, it made me think of like the
That's
thing
interesting.
that makes ants like climb to stalks of the top of grass
Yeah,
and
what
get
are those things
Cordyceps.
called?
the parasite
What are they called?
thingy.
Cordyceps.
And those are what the basis of Last of Us is, right?
Right.
Yeah. Creepy.
It's a fungus.
Super creepy. It
takes
grows
over.
out of their head.
It grows out of their everything.
It's now not the only animal that's affected by those. Like, there's another one, a much bigger organism now that has the same thing I was reading about. I can't remember what it was.
You heard it here first. They're coming for you.
Some kind of lizard.
Zombies.
So they're working their way up through the chain.
You know, one of the moments that sticks with me about Limbo, you know when you break through at the very, very end? I always come back to it. I got so mad. Before I got to the very, very end, because he breaks through the wall and then ends up like exactly where he started.
Yeah, it's like the
laying
beginning.
down. And I was like, you can't do that to him. Like, it's just like, that's Limbo, right? He's just going to go around in the circle forever and ever. You can't do that.
Yeah.
And
well,
then
that makes so much sense.
Which actually made the ending go,
Well, you
yeah,
already
but we don't
seen
know.
her once
But that's the
before,
thing is
too.
we don't know.
You
He
did?
could approach her and
Yeah.
she could blow dart him in the face. That
That's
could
true.
happen.
that's true.
That could.
She shows up once before, right? Am I
She-
misremembering that? You,
So-
does?
You,
I think she does
encounter
with the
her.
boys. Like she's near the boys and they take her away or something, right?
I
Am
I
right
feel
about
like I
that?
recall there's like some kind of introductory thing that I didn't
Hmm.
see on this playthrough. Like maybe if you sit at the loading screen long enough, there's like a little scene that plays
Hmm.
out. Because you just wake up and you just start walking.
Yeah, that's all.
Right,
That's all
but
I
I'm saying I
remember.
think she. I mean, I don't know.
Oh, I
but
know what
I
it
feel
is.
like she
I feel
comes
like-
with the
I know
boys.
what it is.
Yeah.
You're approaching her and a worm hits you in the head.
Yeah.
Oh,
and
there
then
you go.
you immediately go back the other direction.
Yeah.
There you go.
And then when you come back, everything has changed.
Yeah. Yeah,
So
yeah,
she
that's
does.
what
She
I'm
does appear at some
Yeah.
other point in there. Yeah.
So
probably
they already
just-
sort of do that bait and switch on you once, where you
Right.
see her and don't get to her.
She could be a figment, and because the whole environment is different when you come back, could be a figment of his imagination.
Yeah, it's great. So what do you think? What do you think Limbo is? What is it?
I don't know.
I mean, I always
I'm
did
not smart enough for that.
take it for a very purgatory sort of thing, which is interesting because even once he finds her, the setting
still
doesn't
there.
really change. They still seem to be there,
Right.
But,
But
at
he
least
broke
they're
out
together.
of something.
He breaks through
Yeah, he broke some kind
to
of
something,
barrier.
yeah, or
Yeah.
we don't really know what.
And also, why is there a hotel there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe it's like built out of memories.
it's in business.
Like
level.
if it's things that you're scared of,
And a
things like
lumberyard.
spiders.
Let's build a hotel right next to a lumber.
Yeah, it's very
Buzzsaws
strange.
going all day.
Yeah, spiders are like a really childhood thing to be afraid of. I mean,
The,
buzzsaws aren't really, but
I mean, it would explain like the guns seem a little out of place. Like
Guns?
they're
Well,
very
there was-
clearly part of the puzzle, like the
Yeah.
Gatling, the Gatling
Yeah.
gun.
Oh,
things.
yeah.
The laser powered
Laser guns.
Gatling
Yeah.
guns. Yeah.
You know, those seem almost out of place, but if they're just stuff that you're scared of, then maybe that's like
This
more.
could be like
yeah,
a
maybe
representation of
or
war.
something,
Yeah.
The I was gonna say that if I had any kind of criticism about it, because I really do love this game, but it's like the last bit when you do the crash through, like she said, you crash through the thing. It's like, yeah, what is that thing? And it's like there is a moment where you're solving so many puzzles that when you get to the end of it, it's like, okay, what was this thing that like solved all my problems? Like, what was I just had to like go through this journey to get to this point, and this is the exit, or it's like there's no real goal like there. But then the end. From a narrative standpoint, what you see afterwards, I love that.
with the girl.
But like as a mechanical end, I just didn't feel like that was a huge
It doesn't
challenge.
signify like you're done.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, there's not like there was like a boss battle or anything where you're like, now Bowser's
It wasn't
going to
even like a
release
super
her
puzzle.
from his
No,
thing.
there
Yeah.
was no
Yeah.
climactic final.
But I think that's
puzzle.
kind of the great part of it about it being Limbo. Like there's no highs or lows. It's kind of like back and forth and then back and forth again.
But
Like
it does
it's
get progressively harder.
It
for
does.
Sure. Yeah.
It does a little bit.
Yeah, I asked people on Twitter because there were a lot of people that joined us for our playthrough, and obviously this game's been around since 2010, so a lot of other people have played it as well. I asked for a lot of people's thoughts. They're saying that it's complex but simple, which is perfect. It's a good puzzle game that leaves you again thinking about your experience and questioning the artistic style. Also,
Very
been
cool.
discussing a lot of that. Heatherick on Twitter said that it was interesting, but it dragged on, and the puzzles weren't creative enough to carry it longer than the spider.
Interesting. You
Longer
think
than
the
the spider.
spider
Really?
was a cutoff point. I disagree.
I mean, the type of puzzle did start to change right around then.
you
Became
get like gravity and all that comes into play.
Yeah, all those magnets and everything. That's my favorite
Yeah.
part of the game. Like, there's
It's-
one part where you have to get that.
That damn box.
That
out of
damn
the
box. I
That
love
box
that
is one of my
box.
favorites.
Yeah, you like float it.
I love that Gavin kept landing it right on the platform. He's like, I'm like, it's not going anywhere
Yeah.
when it's on the platform,
You're
baby.
stuck.
You got to get it over.
Yeah.
I mean, up until right past the spider, it's basically a very pure platformer almost, where you just are jumping around.
And then it
that's-
adds in-
Yeah, then more mechanics start getting introduced. So that's an odd place to
Yeah.
leave that game.
The only puzzle that I'm like, just get me past this, is the one where it's like 2 levels, and you got 2 boxes and a magnet, and you have to like get one up the hill, then lower the ladder, then go back
yeah.
down. You're
Yeah.
like in the same area for too long,
The
which is
damn-
rare in that game.
I also really didn't like the damn tire puzzle. I gotta pull this thing. Now I gotta pull it with the tire on it. I gotta get it to the other elevator and then drop the tire. It's like, ugh. Like, it just felt so contrived to me.
Like there's a water displacement one too with the
Uh-huh.
Oh,
with
yeah.
the where you lower the different slabs in
Yeah.
there. And I just overthink that every time. It's just like I way overthink that because sometimes the gaps look way longer than what you're able to do, but you can miss a gap and he'll grab the edge and pull himself up.
Yeah, that's one where I was like, I think I overthought that one for like. That probably took me like 3 or 4 minutes of like open, close. Ooh, do I open halfway? Do I close? Gavin literally opened it, closed it, jumped, and then was on his way. And I was like, how did you do that?
It's a confidence thing. You just see the gap, like, I can make
He's like,
that
yeah,
gap.
whatever. And I was like, he's going to miss it. Oh my God, he made it.
Interesting dissenting opinion here from the Thelfluffen. Something like that. Pretentious, short, overpriced, but a solid gameplay experience. Perfect example of style over substance.
What's it selling
Interesting.
for? Does anybody who
I
bought
I
it?
bought it.
$10?
It was $15.
$15
I
on
feel like
Xbox.
yeah,
Let me look at
$14.99.
Yeah, I think it was
Yeah.
$14.99. I bought it, worth it, and I'd already bought it on 360, bought it on Xbox One again. Still
This
worth
is one of those examples that it looks like it's $10 on Steam.
Yeah, it's been on Steam longer than Xbox One probably, so it's
Right.
probably just at a higher price point because it's like early part of the cycle. But it's just like to me, it's like a lot of these downloadable games. We used to call it Xbox Live Arcade, but now it's
Yeah.
just like smaller titles, like downloadable titles. It's to me, it's the epitome of he's saying style over substance. Those games were lived or died based on their art direction. It was always art direction that made games great. Like even Angry Birds, it's like it had great art direction. It had character to it, and that's what really latches, or that people latch onto, and why they become huge hits. And I think Limbo had that, and I think it's a great game underneath all that stuff.
Yeah, I feel like Braid does the same way for me. Has like a really interesting art style, and that's what made people want to check it out.
That mechanic in Braid is pretty nuts too.
Time remixing is really annoying.
It really is. Like you have to wrap your mind around it, and even like the time remixing where you can like make things immune to it too. Or that was Braid was a complex
we'll
game.
put it in the wheel at some point.
Yeah. This game for me is an example of why I don't stand by the like $1 1 hour, like Sean Poole Spool's favorite thing is $1 an hour for a game, and that's what makes it worth it. I'm so okay with this game being like an hour and being $15.
Absolutely.
It's an hour well spent.
Absolutely.
And it's an hour spent a dozen times if you want. But there's some of those games that just the experience is so like it's so tightly done and like well packaged and put together that I am I consider that to be an efficient entertainment.
Yeah.
It definitely would fail the $1 per hour though.
Yeah.
Fully.
Yeah.
For most people, I think.
Yeah.
I might have paid or played it for 10 hours, but I probably have. I can see my time on it.
But a lot of people won't.
No, I don't think a lot of people will. But yeah, like me, it didn't take away from my enjoyment. Movies are not $1 an hour.
No.
No.
They're
We've had
$5
this
an
argument
hour.
before.
So
All right, so we're gonna pick next week's game.
All right, let's do
All
it.
right.
But we're gonna do it in a spectacular way. Bring out, what did you call it?
The
Cylinder
cylinder of selection.
Cylinder of
Okay.
Selection. Brought to you by Achievement Hunter.
yeah, we had to be clear that this was bought
It's
for
on
Achievement
loan.
Hunter, and then we immediately started using it for this. That is quite an
immediately.
entrance.
Yes. Da, 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 da. Ryan, would you like to?
Oh, all right.
I want to like steam when it stops to come like
Yeah.
roll up. Like a train arriving at the station.
Handle.
There's
you
a handle on it,
heathen.
Ryan.
Breaking the system.
You look like a hamster.
Turn. Tell us the game that we should learn.
Open that shit. Oh, there's one stuck in the door.
So this is a combination of like
selected itself.
we put some games in and we took a bunch from the comments and we figured that random selection would make it
Ashley's
would make it
gonna be
ideal.
so excited. This is a fan suggestion. It's Katawa Shoujo.
Oh, you guys
Katawa
finally get it.
What is that?
It's
Don't
Ryan, you're gonna love this.
Let's
It's
get. Wait,
another-
hold on a second.
That scares me.
Why don't
already.
we try to guess what it is
Okay.
based on the name? Katawa Shoujo.
I'm gonna
wanna
guess
see the
it's another.
Katawa Shoujo.
Katawa Shoujo.
It's gonna be a. It's gonna be another one of the Japanese
game?
visual novels about a turtle that wants to be a helicopter.
I'm gonna say it's a Japanese game, story-driven, where you're the headmaster of a school where everyone is dying and having sex.
Okay, I know that it's a Japanese visual novel because Ashley told me that yesterday, but I can't remember what the hook was. A girl, because it has shoujo in it. A girl who is sexually attracted to cheese. What is it?
That's a good one.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna be away next week. I don't want to miss this one.
Aw.
I'm so
You
sad.
can
I'm gonna
still
play it anyway.
It's all right.
Okay, its translation, by the way, is Disability Girls.
Oh, disability. I forgot the disability part.
It's a visual novel that tells the story of a young man and 5 young women living with varying disabilities. The game uses traditional text and sprite-based visual novel model, blah, 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 at a high school for disabled children.
Yep.
So you're gonna fall in love with one of these 5.
Why is
Are
it
you,
always
do you play a
love?
character? Do you play a character with a disability?
I think everyone in it has varying disabilities. Or
Does
no,
the
it says
guy or
hold
just
on,
the girls
hold on.
do?
It says a young man and then 5 young women living with varying disabilities. So you might not have a disability.
You might not. It's just what you're attracted to.
This
Let's see.
experience is either going to be very open and inclusive and progressive, or not at all.
We're
Yeah,
gonna
this
get
could go
exact
horribly
opposite.
wrong.
shit on.
It's not going to be anywhere on the spectrum. It's
I
going
am
to be
terrified
here
to see
or
what they
here.
have classified as disabilities. There's going to be
Yeah.
like one with an entirely mecha body.
I want you to know that this was in
One who's
about.
infected by the wind spirit.
This is about
Oh.
400 suggestions on the last video too.
Really?
So everybody
Wow.
was suggesting, and I didn't really have 400.
I don't think they have our best interests at heart any longer.
Well, I do want you to know it's the only one in there that I think you would have been unhappy for us to pick. I think pretty much everything else in there was.
Well, as long as I
game
don't have
you'd
to
have been
date a
happy.
pigeon again, I'm fine.
So
Granted, that
They don't
might
like
be
to be
a
called that.
that might
It's
be a
rude.
disability. I don't know. Maybe she has pigeon.
I had to write one down. I was going to suggest one that people had to play together. Would that be too hard to do? Like,
we,
I was-
well,
I
and we've
was-
got a let's play room over here.
I was going
Yeah.
to suggest Don't Starve together. Because,
That's a great one. Yeah.
yeah, because I haven't actually played the multiplayer.
I haven't
yet.
played it with somebody. I played
No.
the single player before, but yeah.
We won't say what because we'll keep our suggestions in there, so we
And
won't
then
tell
we'll-
us
and
what
we'll-
all of our
and-
suggestions are. Rude.
Yep.
Sorry.
And then
And
we'll
we'll keep
we'll add more from the comments every week, so this way it just like it broadens the net of all the games that we have to play.
And so it
Yeah,
doesn't
and it
look
doesn't
so
look
lonely.
so sad.
Yeah, I don't. It's going to take a couple game clubs to fill that thing up. I think
It looks so empty.
there's like tickets stuck to the top.
Yeah, it's really
Everything.
sad.
It's-
we should get like balls.
Yeah,
Like
we
little
were
ping
talking
pong
about
balls.
There are-
doing
we
ping
do
pong
have balls in
or
there,
something.
yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Achievement Hunter has balls. Yeah.
We do.
Yeah,
Achievement
the
Hunter has
achievement hunters
balls.
do have balls. That's the thing.
Well said. All right.
So that's the game that we'll be
Thumbs up
playing
for
for
Limbo.
next week.
Thumbs up.
Yeah.
So leave us more suggestions for other games for Game Club in the comments. Let us know your thoughts on this game, and then we'll talk to you guys next week.
Bye.
Everybody.